The Belleville Area District Library Board is called to order. Will you please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will take one small point of privilege in opening the meeting. We have among us as our public, I would like to introduce all of you to Alma Hughes Groves, who is in the front row. Alma is on the ballot she's here as a member of the public today, but she is on the ballot along with John Juriga and Joy Chehevitz, Shevitz. She just had to go through this with her own Sumter thing, and I said, oh, I'm all set. I've got Joy's name all down, and here I messed it up again. And so we are hopeful and eager and happy that she may very well be joining us right here at the Horseshoe very soon, in that Mike Bolter is making a seat for her.
Yep.
So Mike is the one. So I don't know if everybody has ever had the chance to meet Alma, so I was happy to see her come in here, and I didn't let her just slide in here quietly like she probably would have preferred.
I saw your love of the library. That's where you're famous.
Yeah.
Your love of your library video.
So that's very good.
I think I'm the only one that haven't seen it.
I saw it too.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Oh.
I saw it too.
And while I had announced that a couple of our regulars were not going to be able to join us at the beginning of the meeting, now we've managed to go around doing extra things long enough so that by the time of the roll call, we're just about all present. So I will ask our secretary to call us in.
Bolter.
Present.
Painter present.
Chehevitz.
Here.
Dawson.
I'm here.
Peters.
Juriga is absent with, excused absence, he is called in. And Peters is here.
Yeah.
So good. Now we are at the point for approval of the agenda. I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion we approve the agenda.
A second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or any adjustments to the agenda that need to be made? Hearing none. All those in favor of approval of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed by saying no. The item passes with no dissenting votes. The regular meeting minutes, which were also in your packet. These are regular meeting minutes for August 9th, 2016. And a motion for their approval is also
I'll
in
make that
order.
motion. Second.
Moved by Dawson and seconded by Studemeyer that the minutes of the August meeting be approved.
I will not vote on this because I was not here last week.
All right, I understand. Are there any other comments about the minutes? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying no. There's no dissenting votes and the minutes are approved. And now we are all ready to item 5, which is public comments. Do we have anybody in the public who wishes to speak to us?
I have a question about the millage. What percentage is that we're asking the people to take on their taxes? You know?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear her question.
She's asking about the millage.
Do you want the millage or the
We
bond?
can tell you the millage and bond. We can tell you the amount on percentage of, it's not exactly in that, but
Yeah, but it should be a percentage of the taxes that they're gonna.
it's a
charge
mill,
the people.
yeah. So it's for now, and I'll be corrected if I've got it backwards, but for the bond, which is to build the new library, it would be 0.75 mils.
Could be, the first year will be 0.75, the average on that, the bond will be 0.68 over the course of the 20 years. So
And how
it'll be
much is
0.68.
$25, right, that you're adding to their taxes?
It depends on what your property value is.
It would depend on the taxes. We
On
have,
an average,
I've got it.
the mill means on the average at 0.68 means it's 68 cents for every $1,000 of taxable property value. So if you're
So for example, for both of these together, the operating millage will be 0.75, the average bond that you'll be paying would be 0.68. If your house could be sold for $150,000, that means that your taxable value is $75,000. I believe the total amount would be $107 per year. But it all is dependent upon how much your house is worth.
it's different for each property.
It's different for each property owner.
Is that a fair, I mean, like, the Lord only wants 10% of money for his,
Yeah, but his
tithe.
time library.
So I just think it's, terrible to ask people for more than that.
it's not 10%.
Okay,
No, it's less than 1%.
okay,
It's less than 1%
okay.
that's being.
Of somebody's
And
income.
it's
If
not
you
of your
put it in a-
income, it's of your house.
If you put it in a
taxable
percentage, that's her question in
percentage.
percentage is what's, because it's done in terms of amount of mil, but it's less than 1%.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Would it not?
It would be, which is at $107.
If your house were worth, that's just an example.
If your house is worth $150,000, the increased taxes for the library
If your
building and
taxable
operation
value.
would be $107 per year. The 10% tithe in terms of that is on your income. So we're talking $100 a year. I think most people are probably giving more than that to the church.
And I want to be clear, you said if your house is worth $100,000. If your house was worth $100,000 and you bought it today, your taxable value is roughly about half that. So if your house is worth $200,000, then your tax would be about what you said. Your taxable value would be half that. If you've been in your house a long time, it will probably be much lower than what it's worth.
What I'd also invite you to do, we will be talking a little more about this during the meeting, so since you're here, I hope that you could stay and listen to the meeting. Also, we have, there is a newsletter that you should have received at your home, but we certainly have copies here tonight that have breakdowns of the piece. I don't know if there's anybody could get one for her right now. That could be at the information in the newsletter right
I
here.
have it hanging on my dresser because I like the picture.
Well,
I didn't read the newsletter.
Well, I can show you on this dog-eared one that I have here, but there's an information page right here, back here, that
okay.
gives you answers to a number of those questions. It might be helpful. It's not that we don't want to, and we can pursue it a little further, but I think maybe in the discussion, we may be able to clarify a few things for you further.
Okay.
I'm hopeful, and I'm glad that you came, and I'm glad that you are interested in the library. And your name, usually in our public comment, we get the name.
Penny knows.
Oh, Penny, what the heck? Penny is, that's my friend Penny. I'm sorry, Penny.
That's all right.
I didn't recognize you with your
That's
hat.
all right.
Penny Mills. Penny Mills. Whose family is very active in this community. So thank you for coming. I'm glad to see you here. Especially glad now, Penny.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Also, I want to tell you, anybody else who hasn't been here a lot, we have been in the practice of allowing people who are visiting in the public to kind of clarify questions as we go along. So since I asked you to stay,
Okay.
I certainly would entertain your questions. And now we're at the item 6, which will require a roll call vote. Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the levy of 0.7 library operating millage. That's what has already been voted as our regular operating millage. And we need to authorize that in a board vote. So,
I motion to approve, I need to say it,
the
to
authorization.
approve, resolution number 2016-02, resolution to approve the district library tax levy.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded, and so it's appropriate for board discussion. Are there questions or points?
This is just the formality.
This is a regular, continuing,
Yeah.
and we have to do this every year for this to continue, for the library to be able to operate. Any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying, oh, no, we have a roll call vote. I just told you that, so Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Bolter,
Yes.
Gabriel, yes. Shahevitz,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yeah.
Peters,
Yes,
Studemeyer.
Yes.
the motion carries. And now we are at the point of committee reports, and I will start out with our building committee, which she has up to the minute activity to report to us and some materials that I hope everybody got. That folds, oh no, there were 2 different ones.
Okay, yeah.
That's okay.
So we did a very brief presentation, Sharon, Mary Jo, Dan and I at the Sumter board meeting on the proposed floor plan, or at least the draft floor plan, I guess is what I should say, for the satellite center. I'm trying to call it Media Center in Sumter. And Dan, you want to put up your big picture to look at it? So this was, they approved it at their last meeting in September. They approved the use of this building for this purpose. And this was just to present to the board the current floor plan. And then there'll be a forum on October 12th. I can get the 12th out of my mouth. I keep wanting to say the 14th. The 12th, with the whole entire proposal for this building and that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what we presented to the Sumter Township Board and those in attendance is this concept plan. Kind of had preface that we haven't really been into the building to do an exhaustive review of it, but based on our tour we took months and months ago, I don't remember when it was, and some of the measures, we were able to develop basically a pretty concrete plan of what's there. We're going to try to reuse, as much of the sort of current layout as we can. But there's a few major things as far as on the exterior. There's a deck to the east that is in pretty poor disrepair, and so I think, and we don't really need it. So our sort of plan is we'll just demolish that and remove it off entirely. But as you walk in the front door, right now there's a pair of solid doors. Maybe they have tiny little windows in them. But we're kind of suggesting we replace those with kind of a more glass, more like a storefront kind of entry like you'd have going in a retail store. So we make the entrance to the building much more inviting. There are 2 existing toilets, a men's and a women's. They both have 2 fixtures each. And for the size of the building, we don't really need that amount of plumbing fixtures to meet code. So we're suggesting we would downsize it to just a single fixture in each toilet room. And that allows us to sort of move the wall in here on, I think, what's the women's side, where we can create a little niche with a built-in counter and be able to have a couple of youth computers, the AWE kind of computers, the educational software. On the men's side, maybe a small niche for some storage. And one of the good things, that we have an existing kind of kitchen that's part of that building. While we don't need sort of that kitchen kind of development for the library, that seems to work well for the sort of staff workroom. So right now there's a large pass-through in that. We think we'll infill that and let that be really more of a workroom area. We might be able to repurpose the cabinetry that's in there, or maybe we end up replacing it. But there's an existing door to the exterior out of that space, and the way that the footprint of that room is currently, it almost seems to work just perfect for bringing deliveries in. So we'll be able to have interlibrary loan bins right on the floor, so things kind of come in. They can be staged to go back out. So you can do, the pickup drop-off at this location, even though its primary focus is on technology and media in terms of computers. But library patrons will be able to have some hold shelving here, so they can request an item from this library or from the other libraries that are part of the shared system. Or we also are talking about having an exterior book return that will drop right back into that workroom. So we have the ability for a library patron that maybe they come and visit the downtown library, check out a book here, but they can deliver it to the satellite location, so they don't have to necessarily come back in town, and staff will take care of that. In terms of the overall arrangement, we are looking at 11 computer stations that are arranged in a more of a classroom setting, sort of all facing towards the east, with a large LCD monitor to where we can do instructional computer lab type instruction for those that are attending. We know we can arrange the space differently and fit more computers in if the trend in usage changes, but the notion was we want to try to really support computer instruction at this location, so that's why we've arranged it the way we have. We have a staff desk that is shown here. Hopefully the media center is well used, and so we can imagine if every computer is taken and being used and the patron comes in, we've provided a couple of lounge seats, kind of soft, comfortable seating, and a shelf with maybe perhaps for some magazines, to where if somebody had to sit and wait 15 to 20 minutes for a computer to become available, they have something to kind of sit down and do and read while they're waiting. And so I think that's a nice little feature, as well as a small two-place table where if you bring your own laptop or an iPad, you have a place to sit down and you can access the Wi-Fi that's going to be available here. We're also planning on kind of a copy center where we'll have a color copier and sort of a robust space to provide that as a service to the community. Have some space for tax forms, some space for display, and so it's a reasonably small building at 1,300 square feet, but I think we're packing a lot of resources and amenities into that.
What's the upkeep on that building? I mean, what does it cost per year to
For
keep
utilities?
Well, to keep it up, like, the maintenance of the building.
Well, I guess we don't have any data on what the township's been spending. I imagine they're not spending a whole lot. The exterior of the building is essentially wood-sided, so it's painted. And so, unlike a building that's brick, there's going to be some not annual, but maybe every 5 to 7 to 10 years, the library would want to repaint the exterior, perhaps. As we look at the renovation and when we do this, like I said, this is a concept plan. As we, once the bond issue passes and we're sort of rolling up our sleeves and diving into it, we're going to look at the exact condition of the building. We may choose as part of this project to replace windows so they're more energy efficient, or we may decide as we look closer at them that maybe the existing windows are perfectly fine as they are. We'll be looking at the mechanical system and those sorts of things. All of that will kind of dovetail into the overall ongoing maintenance. But as a public library and as a steward of a public facility, making sure that the building is designed and built in a way that uses longevity materials and is easy to maintain and operate is an important thing, because the library is always working off of an operating budget. And so We want to make it as efficient and whether it's energy efficient and staff efficient, so that the library can spend their operating dollars on things that are more directly benefiting the patron.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
There is 3 points of entry.
There are 2 points of entry. Well, currently there would be 3 technically. This is a sliding glass door off of the deck, I think. We would certainly get rid of that, probably end up replacing that with a window and maybe the same size opening. But there's the main entrance here, and there's what's going to be considered as, I would say, more of a staff delivery entrance. And that'll serve as a second exit out of the building. We're probably so small in terms of size that we may not even be required to have a second exit from a code standpoint, but we have it there, and it's going to provide that.
Does
If
the
you don't
library
know where
have a,
this building is, it is directly across from the township hall. It's kind of unassuming from the front. You don't necessarily know that it's not a regular shaped building. It's hexagon.
It is an existing building in Sumter, and they're repurposing it.
Yeah, it's it's a steel frame building for the roof structure. It's a little bit odd because it's hexagonal in shape. That's not a typical building, so that's unique in that sense. But just from a number of months ago when we visited, the roof looked like it was in reasonably good shape. But that'll be the kind of thing that we'll want to look at to make sure that there's no roof leaks, and if there are, then that's going to have to be part of that renovation to make sure that we have a robustly built building that is not going to create maintenance issues down the road.
It needs new flooring for sure.
It definitely needs new flooring, and the while there are existing toilets in the building, those toilets don't meet our current barrier-free code, and so we really need to do something with those anyways. To make it the most convenient for all patrons. And so, touching those things, that becomes expensive, you touch plumbing, but it seems like, the right thing to do to make it the most responsive to the community.
does the library have a geek for the computers to fix them if they crash or something? So that person would go out there and do the same thing, or would they hire somebody out there?
We would have a tech clerk out there that can handle basic things, but if there's a problem, then we would send out, someone from the main library to fix it.
Okay.
And they would probably be scheduled anyway to do some routine maintenance.
Oh.
Immediately prior to this, as Rosemary can testify, the set gave this presentation to the board in Sumter, and maybe you might share with us the results.
Did you get a handout?
The questions, let me try and remember the questions. So there was a question about how much it was going to cost for the entire millage and for the entire bond amount and for the tax levy. So we answered that. I'm trying to think what else. Other
And
questions, Mary
this
Van?
is a $200,000 project. $250,000 project is what we went into this with, the idea of the Sumter piece.
And they had some general questions about the technology.
Whether it was going to be
Leased or
leased, whether it was going to be protected from hackers and people getting on it, doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, and things like that.
They were gonna get 11 real computers or
Right, yes.
They will be real computers.
not an iPad.
They will not be iPads on
No.
tabletops.
Some no Commodore 54s.
No Commodores.
Did they
Some of
allow,
the kids might rather have an iPad though.
did they allow questioning from the audience?
Yeah, those are some of the questions. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Oh, there was Peggy Moore was reminding that this was a district district library agreement, they required that, this, $200,000 is spent on this building and
But they had to provide a building too.
that they had to provide a building, yeah, I mentioned that.
That it's part of the agreement that's already,
Yes.
that's already existing. So, well, good. This is the first time that we've had the opportunity to look at this in any detail. Several members did go look at the existing building, but it's hard to,
It was a long time ago.
and it takes a lot to move it to a vision of what we're doing, and so it's very helpful to have.
And then we reminded them we'd be back on October 12th for the forum.
Yeah, yes, we will be holding forums. I guess this is we have additional information that to provide for all of you, and I think there's a thing back on the back
Yeah,
about
I
these
got it.
forums, and I think that probably Alma and Penny might need a couple of copies, but the library is very interested in making sure people know everything they can. There's a copy. If there's not one over there, Penny, there's a copy for you there. So as this sheet tells you, and the Sumter, the last time we visited the Sumter board, which was a couple of weeks ago, they approved us holding this township hall in Sumter on October 12th. But we will be holding 4 public forums in all different parts of the district library district. One in Sumter, one at Belleville High School on September 28th, one at Van Buren Township on October 5th, one at Sumter on October 12th, and then at WCCD on October 26th. They're all at 7 p.m. and the dates are all Wednesdays. So these will be informational to let people know what we're proposing and to handle public questions. We do appreciate the public coming to our meeting, but not too many of them do, so we're going to go out to the public. So I think that's part of our building efforts. Are there other items for the building committee to talk about today?
I don't think so, unless somebody else has something.
Anybody have, since we do have Dan here, Dan our architect, which we have in here today, is there anybody, any other questions? Dan's been very forthcoming, and so all of us have had many chances to ask him questions.
Are you doing the library here too?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, well, with that, and with the questions folks have had, yeah?
A couple of these dates I didn't have on my calendar.
Uh-huh.
They were added, so.
Yes, there might be one that came around today. Hot off the press.
You might not be there, is that what you're saying, Dan?
Actually, the 5th is fine. The 26th, I'm probably going to be at MLA.
We'll
The,
send to Alex.
Alex was
Did you
very,
do well? You did well?
He
he
did
did very well,
He
and
does
we
very
would be,
Better
yeah.
watch your back.
Very-
I said you better watch your back.
We've appreciated that you've been available to us for the many things we come up with, which we know you can't be everywhere, so.
I'm pleased he was able to come
So if you can find, you can tell him there's a special request for Alex. If there's somebody else you want to send, we'll be all right too.
He probably doesn't talk as much.
It's true.
You can't see
As
Rosemary.
who?
Oh boy.
One of the good things about him too is that he's always willing to take leftover food home.
No, that's good.
He's young.
We're a couple of years out of college, so
Yeah.
I'm still living an old dream.
I said, do you want ice cream to go? And he says, can I take a couple?
A cooler full. Oh boy.
You didn't bring any back for me. So.
Well, thank you very much, Joy and Dan and Mary.
And Mary Jo for putting it all together.
Yeah, the materials, the chance to interact with people in Sumter. And the chance we've had now, we've had a chance to talk to people in Sumter at Sumter Township meetings a couple of times now, and hopefully we'll have some more interest next month when we go to visit in a public forum. So I think we can move to item B, which is the Bylaws Committee, and Bylaws Chair Jariga is not here today, and I think we have no report on that one. Item C, the Finance Committee. Treasurer Studemeyer?
Nothing to report.
Okay, nothing to report on that. The Marketing Committee, Trustee Dawson.
Of course. In your packet, there should be a copy of the committee notes from our last marketing committee. We had a huge crowd. It was Mary Jo and I. But we got a lot done. For those of you who were able to come to the ice cream social, thank you. We had
Thank you.
130 people, and Alex was here, and he was doing the flyover loop thing out there in the children's area, and we had boards set up here, and board members and staff were answering questions and pointing things out. Also in your packet are the bookmarks. That was part of the marketing committee thing too. They came out really well.
Very nice.
Yes.
Oh, the
Very,
I love it.
very informative. I love the bright colors for the kids. I think they came out really well. And I don't really have anything else except for the next meeting, which is October 23rd, I think. Is it?
Is it going to be a Friday?
It's a Friday.
So this date
The
that's on,
28th.
Okay, 28th.
Friday.
I just wanna make sure, so on this, it says September 27th, and this says September 28th.
I wanted
It's
to
the
make a
28th.
comment about the bank.
Pardon?
Chase Bank does not belong to the Chamber of Commerce, and neither does Citizens Bank. Co-America and the credit union belong to the area
Chamber. of
chamber.
Commerce.
So I just wanted to let you know that, because the city of Belleville puts their money in Chase Bank too.
Oh, okay. The chamber, right, not every business operating in the area is a member of the chamber.
No, but they should support each other.
So anyway, that's the end of my report.
And I note to the chair of the marketing committee that when her report was done, we had 3 forums, and we've just noted the extra one that's on this other page is just recently put together, hot off the presses, so that'll be the forums we'll do. Thank you. And we again, all of us, most of us were able to attend the ice cream social. Lachelle's
Very
family,
good.
it was wonderful, we all enjoyed it, and
It was
Mary
a
Jane
nice
put in
kickoff.
a tremendous amount of work and had a first class event.
Did Alex take home any ice cream?
He took a few. And a couple spoons.
Thank you, so, September 28th.
And the postcards look nice.
Is there any other things on marketing?
No,
There are
I'm done.
a couple days, the newsletter went out in this period, and I think we've been doing, well, there's been a lot of activity in reaching out to people, and a lot
John
of.
Morgan mentioned the science program, what is it?
Science
The Science Kids
Yeah.
program.
Yeah,
Good.
so it's good to know he includes us in his announcements.
library is a member of the Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
That's the only thing we can totally control. We are now at the point for the Personnel Committee. Are there any items, Mike?
Can you send us all out copies of the evaluation? And I think because of the election and everything's been going on, and everybody's been very busy, that we should probably schedule this for December results.
Okay.
He's just waiting till he's off. I just want,
No,
he's
he'll
still
still
here in
be here.
December,
He's
that's
still
right.
He's not putting it off on somebody else. He's making himself do something and
All
that's a
right,
lame
I
duck.
retract my comment.
Yeah.
He's not that kind of guy.
We wouldn't let him go anyway, so I'm
No,
glad.
it's, so why don't we figure, if you can get it done anytime between, whenever you want, if you can email them to us.
Sure.
Who else is on?
So we have forms.
We've got the one that you've used previously, if that's the one you wanna use, I can find it and send it out to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will the committee be looking at it before you, do you wanna look at it, look it over just to see?
No,
whether-
it's the same one we used before. I'll make a recommendation that the new personnel committee next year revises it.
Okay.
Tailor it more user friendly. When that was designed, we kind of used ideas that we found online from other libraries. In my co-personnel chair member, she had very strong opinions. So,
Not the current one.
right. And I've always felt that it was awkward and it needs to be changed.
I agree.
Well, if you feel that we should still, with those considerations, if you still feel we should use it, or if you can give the value of your substantial experience here.
I believe that
what might
it's
be a
still a
better
functioning
thing.
document. I mean, it still works. We tried to design it when we did because we knew that the director, or the director at that time, she would be retiring at one point. So we tried to tailor it. We didn't know we were going to get somebody that was, already familiar with the library and is active in the library. And you've seen the current. It's a
All of
year.
us did it last year.
Yeah, we did.
We didn't, no, we didn't.
No,
No, we didn't.
No, because we're just tired.
Yeah, that's right.
So maybe you should show your your co-personnel committee,
How
what
about if
that
I
might
send-
be.
How about if I send this to the personnel committee and then the other way side,
Okay.
if you just wanna forward it on or not?
I think that would be a good thing, and I really am asking you this sincerely, Mike. Given that you have experience and you have a sense of this, that you're telling us of that there may be some things that you could offer instead of just using the same one. Because of that, there might be some improvements that you could recommend, whether we use it or not. But anyway, if the personnel committee is going to look at it in the first place, then that's fine with me.
Okay. Yeah. We'll make recommendations, but
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I think you're also saying because it's late in the year
yes.
and you're gonna be leaving
Yes.
to construct a whole new document, it's gonna be more time consuming than using what we've already got.
Correct.
Is that it?
And my recommendation is the new personnel committee next year, revise it.
Right. But yeah, the two of you, yeah.
So
I don't think- yeah, I
go
don't think
along
we
with
did.
my original comment then.
And we weren't on in time, the three of us us weren't on in time to do
Right.
it in 2014.
We switched over.
In 2015 is when we switched over and we didn't do one when she was
Right.
just in for a few
So it may
months.
be a good thing for you to use this.
Yeah, we've not seen it. I don't think we've seen it.
Would you agree?
It's not bringing,
No, would you agree? I mean, it,
To use what we already have.
yeah, it's
I think it
awkward
makes-
in it, you know, it's
It's
just.
fine.
I think it makes more sense to use what we've got. Having seen it and having used it, I think it makes more sense to use what we've used before, even though the three of you may not have used it, than to try and reinvent the wheel, which is gonna be more time consuming.
and we don't have time.
And we have
got a lot
other
of things to
focuses
do.
right now,
Yeah,
yeah.
we got a lot of things to do. Okay.
So, just email it to everyone.
Okay.
And then we'll see who signs up to be personnel next year.
It's just a little wordy, that's all.
Well, you can still make recommendations.
Yeah, oh well,
Okay.
that's all.
Okay. Item F, Policy Committee. No report. Then there is approval of accounts payable.
Make a motion to approve accounts payable as presented.
I second that.
I think it was our accounts payable that was probably the source of the comment from the public about our bank. Yeah. Are there any questions, or there's a motion and a second to the motion? Is there any particular item anybody needs to have discussed?
Well, looking at the postage, I wondered if we were going to have an informational piece in proposals in addition to the newsletter, or is that it? Okay, all right. But that would be for next month.
Yeah, Mary Jane and I talked about that briefly at the marketing committee, and possibly having something that would go out like around the middle of October.
Okay. So that would come up in our next meeting. All right, then there is a motion duly moved and seconded, and there has been discussion. Is there any more? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. The accounts payable is approved, and we're on to our director's report.
Well, John Reed is not here to give you good news, but the people counter has been replaced, so we are all set with that again. This is the third board meeting that we are taking, and so we are working through that. I think we worked through some of the sound issues well enough that I have posted links on the library board page to the previous two meetings, the July and the August meeting. So that is still an ongoing project. I think we're pretty close though. The building, we received a quote from Blue Ribbon Construction to come out and replace two of the posts at the front of the building on the front porch. One of the posts is eroded completely. We couldn't physically move it, and the other one needs some help. So
We had some of those repaired previously.
we had some of those repaired previously. There's one that's in really bad repair. I think the other one they can do some things with, but then one needs to be replaced.
We should just build a new building.
Good, Mary Jo.
Have you
I like
begun
it.
constructing your
I like that
aqueduct
thinking.
system for this winter?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we're dealing with the summertime drips right now.
We can announce it during the ice cream social. We did have the roof. Then we had a big downpour.
It was a
right
great time
before-
to have people in the building.
Really?
Yeah, because it was pouring
There
down.
was a
Right?
downpour right
Buckets
before the
everywhere.
ice cream social. and
Garbage
we
cans.
Had to get the buckets out and catch the drip.
Start recycling the aluminum foil, so you have it
Yeah.
stocked
I've been
up.
saving it.
Yeah.
We do have a plant strategically placed to get water in, but that's not exactly the way that we plan to get
The
it.
problem is the drip keeps moving, so it's hard to know
Yeah.
where to put the plant.
Mary Jo, how is the wireless printing gonna work?
I will let you know.
have to install
It's through
something?
Sam, yeah, and
Yeah.
and that's why we're installing the print release station first. We're gonna put that piece together where basically when you want to print, you need to go to the station and scan your library card in order to get your print jobs. And this will accomplish a lot of things. It's the first piece that we need to install in order to be able to offer wireless printing, so that you can come in with your cell phone and be able to print your document. It will also allow for more privacy. Right now, it's kind of a catch-all. Everybody goes there and grabs their printouts, but if you're printing your pay stub or your income tax return or something, you really don't want everybody looking at your information. So this will be a lot more secure. I'm trying to remember. I think it depends on the type of what you're trying to do, the type of device that you have. I think there was one thing that like an app you need to install if you're using it from an iPhone.
Once it's installed.
But once it's
Yeah.
installed, you're ready to go. So.
And it takes money from Sam, like any other.
It will do that. We're not going to implement that at first. We're going to just kind of ease into this.
So when, say Mike and I were both printing something, how would,
You'd have to go with your library card and scan it in order to say, yes, I want to print my job that I just printed.
okay, but you wouldn't be picking everything up at the same place.
Everything gets picked up at the same place, but you're standing right there and you're picking up your stuff right there.
You
Oh,
send it to
okay.
the printer, but it doesn't actually print
It doesn't
until
print until
you're
you go
there
there.
with your library
Okay.
card. Yeah,
Okay.
and then you get all of it at once.
What's the matter, you don't wanna see what I'm having printed?
No, you were the closest person to me.
And that will help with people who do, they're printing a lot of things and they don't want to keep hopping up back and forth trying to get their
Right.
jobs. I'm hoping also it cuts down on some paper waste. People will be able to see, oh, do I really need to be printing 60 pages? So I think that will, from an environmental standpoint, recycling standpoint, that will help. I've shared a couple articles with you. One is a new Pew Research Center poll. Basically saying that people are reading on in a variety of ways, and that print is not going away. So it was kind of interesting to break down. I thought it was interesting that young adults are, they're more likely to. They're more likely to read books in various digital formats, but they're also more likely than anybody else to read a print book as well. So, definitely fluid and familiar in all different types of reading, but they still like those print books. So, in this last article, I debated about whether to include this because a lot of the articles just kind of boring and maybe not relevant, but the part that talks about ownership of ebooks I found to be kind of interesting. You don't always own your ebooks. You think you own your ebooks, but when you look at what happened with when I believe it was the Nooks, Barnes and Noble shut down the Nooks in Great Britain, and all of those people who had their Nooks and had their ebooks on their Nooks,
They disappear.
they kind of or they had to really go jump through a lot of hoops in order to be able to retrieve them.
Books that they had paid for.
Yes. So it's almost like you're renting them rather than owning them in some ways.
Well, they had a story on Fox in between all the political stuff, maybe 2 weeks ago, that said that this is the first time that the e-reader is starting
To go down a little bit.
Yeah.
and I thought that was surprising that they made that on Fox News.
It's getting
I have a question about library cards.
Okay.
So a very well-known person in the community and I were talking a while back,
Okay.
and it was a holiday weekend, so it would have been 4th of July, I think, that he had downloaded a book, and he was really looking, you know who it is, and he was really looking forward to reading this book, and I forget if he got like maybe 2 pages read, not very much, and then it just wasn't there anymore because his library card expired. And he was really upset. And of course it was the beginning of the weekend and the library was closed.
I think the worst part was he was right at the last couple of pages.
Oh, so he was at the end, not at the beginning. Okay, but do our library
Library cards do expire every 3 years. You need to get them renewed.
And that's so that you can keep information.
If we have
up-to-date.
your email, you do get an email notification, courtesy notification.
Is that
When
just
you
since we
card
got
out.
those little ones that go
No,
in?
this has been like this.
It's
With,
been
with,
there
with,
since
with,
the 90s.
with physical books, you're standing in front of us, and so the computer will like give you a short loan period if your card is due to expire, and we can know that and see that. But if you have an ebook, you don't, there's no control over that. So
Because I didn't know they expired, but okay, thank you.
yeah, that was. I thought
You don't
that was-
necessarily get a brand new card, they just
We just
update your
update
Right.
information.
Okay, and I've also enclosed a flyer. This competes with our public forums, however, there is a meditation workshop that our library
I
is
think we
hosting.
all need the meditation.
Meditate for a half
Maybe
hour
we
to
should,
the
which,
forum.
maybe we should take the meditation into the forums.
And we have a lot, we have quite a healthy sign up for this so far, so I think this is something that people want. Don't unless you have questions.
Any questions on the director's report?
So your this one's being charged for, huh?
Yes.
Um, yeah. Okay, then we are to the item 10, I believe, if I'm counting right. Item 10 is trustee comments. We'll start with you, Tanya.
I hate that I missed the ice cream social. I hope that it went very well. But that was while I was chaperoning for band camp. So I had an opportunity to talk to some of the other chaperones about the library.
Good.
And it was very well received. We had a mixture, of people from various areas in the community, and everybody was aware of the fact that we were building a library. They knew where the location was. They weren't, like a lot of people, some of the people in the audience really weren't sure how much it was going to cost them. But everybody understood that we really needed to have a new library. So there was really no negativity. There was no pushback on anything that we're doing right now. So I was very happy to hear that. It was a good trip.
I'm glad you were there, even if you mentioned you missed the ice cream.
I thought about it too.
I don't know if we saved you one either.
What happened to the old pictures that used to hang in the library? All those old men that used to be in the library. I don't know who they were because they were a big portrait, but there
Now,
were
is
several
that-
portraits.
Oh, for us.
Fred C. Fisher.
Fred C. Fisher.
And you can ask his,
I believe he's up by the reference
it's
desk
still
right
there.
now.
There was more than one picture though. There was several.
There were two. William Van Dyke.
Yeah.
That picture disappeared during the expansion back in 1992. Those were the only two pictures I'm aware of.
He's the one that owned the property.
Yes.
Yeah.
And donated it.
And donated it.
Your great grandfather. Great.
right, that we have the great grandson of Fred C. Fisher right here on this board. Did you know that, Penny? That's Mike. Mike's. So there we go. So we got another chance to talk about Fred. Michelle.
I just want to say that my family and I really enjoyed the ice cream social. Sorry that you missed the time, but it was very nice. We had a very good turnout, so kudos to the marketing committee. You are doing
Thank you.
an excellent job. Also to the building committee. I can't say enough good things about you all. I really appreciate the work that you're doing. I'm really excited. As Ty said, she heard, good things. There was no pushback. I've been hearing really good things in the community. So every chance I get, I'm kind of talking it up. And now school is back in. All of these activities that my children are in is back in as well. So actually I was at open house at the high school last Wednesday. I was talking to some of the new tech teachers, and they were saying in my daughter's government class, they're going to have like these forms in regards to the election, and so they want somebody from the to come and present to the class. So
Your
I was really-
daughter,
Yeah.
she donated your time, right?
You did, and
You got voluntold?
I told them that if I'm available, because it's going to be during the school day, if I'm available, I would come, but if I'm not, I will talk to my fellow board members, and I'm sure we will find somebody who can come and present so that those students can take information back to their parents, because although they can't vote, they can take information home. And so I told them thank you for the opportunity to allow us to get more information out. So I'm really excited about that, and they're going to email me with the information. And certainly if I can do it, I will get information from the marketing committee, from the building committee, all the information I can gather to take, and I will go and I will talk, Joy. I will present. But if it's during a court day, I'll have to ask somebody else to
talk and present somewhere else.
I have to talk, present someplace else. So I'm really excited about that. You know, any opportunity that we can get to get information out there is major. And I'm working on my list. I've been asked to create a list. I'm working on my list.
Okay, thank you, Joy.
I want to thank the folks who make these dates happen, because I know that's a lot of work to get these arranged. I also want to thank Mary Jo for today, I think, putting together this flyer for the meeting with the township. Good job. And for Dan for squeezing it in. Yeah, so thank you.
Finished? Mary Jean.
Well, thank you to all of you people who've been working on the building. The new one and the old one. John's not here because
Around the buckets.
no, doing the meetings, coordinating the stuff, printing up handouts, all of that thing. I know that's a lot of work. I've done it before, so. How many more meetings do you have before you're missing?
3.
Okay. You've got big shoes to fill. Okay, if you sit next to me. Because he keeps me in line. I'm gonna miss Mike, but I'll be happy to have you up here too, Alma. So, that's it.
Mike.
I don't really have anything to add tonight, except that when the meeting's over, and I want to state that this is non-library information or connected with the 6 of you police staff and meetings. What's it?
I wanted to say for chair comments that I just appreciate the heavy lifting that's going on within our library staff. Also, the library board, we have been just a very busy group this year. And we are gratified that we have people in the community that are doing the parts of the work that need to be done that the board and staff are not appropriate to do. So we've got things going in all areas to meet our goals. So I thank you for being focused and for sticking with it and for going and doing a lot of extra things. Everybody is, and appreciate the kind of programming we've had. At this point in my comments, there's usually a voice from over there that's ready to talk about.
I'll be John.
We'll take a motion for.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second it.
It is moved and seconded that we adjourn.
Do you want to vote?
All those in favor?
Aye.